following program may contain language of an adult nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Welcome to Dante's Boxing Nation show here on alltalkradio.net. Now here's your host, Dante.
What's going on, guys? alltalkradio.net, and welcome to the Dante's Boxing Nation show. I am your host, Dante, and joining me today, as always, I got my colleagues online, and in the studio with me, the invisible Norrin, Raddicall, is in the building.
Y'all decats going to get this work.
And also, my correspondents getting it in, Eagles World. What's going on, man?
Yeah, what's up?
All right, we got A.K.A. Rap King. What's good, fam?
What's up, A?
All right.
What's up, AK in the house?
And we got Ekingfightnews. What's going on, man?
Hey, Dante, good to be here.
Welcome back. And my man, King Yusef. You there, King?
What's up, brothers?
Oh, man. Oh, yeah, we got a full house. We about to go to war, boy. We got a football team over here. Let's get it in. Let's get it in. Man, welcome to the show, guys. Love talking some boxing, man. So let's go ahead and cover some of the fights that took place this past weekend. We had Hank Lundy versus Thomas Delare, and we also had Rosado versus Lemieux. Now, let's just start with the undercard fight real quick. I personally thought going into this fight that the Lundy versus Delare fight should have been somewhat of a main event. That's just my own personal opinion. It was a good fight. It was a 50-50 fight, and it looked like a 50-50 fight. Thomas Delare, he always starts off really dominant in the first rounds. I mean, you watch Delare for the first half, he looks like an unbeatable fighter. And then all of a sudden, it seems like he becomes unraveled. He starts to clinch more. He starts to back up more, and he can't really deal with pressure. So, I mean, he won this fight by the skin of his teeth. He barely won this fight. Hank Lundy, he rallied back. He's really animated. I love how Hank Lundy, he comes forward. He's a switch hitter. He throws beautiful uppercuts. I like how he leans to the left, and he'll come with an uppercut. The fight could have went either way. But, Hank Lundy, he started a little too late, and I don't really have a problem with the decision. But I would really like to see Thomas Delare or Hank Lundy against some of these other top-notch 140-pound fighters. How did you see that fight playing out, Ego?
I agree with you. I thought it was a 50-50 going in, and watching it, it was a 50-50 fight. Good fight, entertaining fight. I thought it was a fight of halves. The first half, like you said, Thomas Delare looked real good. And in the second half, when Barry Hunter got under his skin, he was like, "This man ain't no gangster."
Yeah, that was a gangster. That was a gangster comment. Go ahead,
Bubba. He brought the Philly out of Hank Lundy when he called it. He said, "You want this, or you want me to just end it?" Like, you know what I'm saying? So that got under his skin, and then that's when he turned it up. I think with Thomas Delare, he reminds me of like a Jorge Linares in his division, where when he's on, and he's boxing beautifully, and he looks real good, real swift. But like you said, when they put pressure on him or when you make him uncomfortable, he just looks out of position. Like Kareem Mayfield in spot put pressure, and he didn't look so good towards the end. And Hank Lundy is another example. So, I mean, no disrespect to Robert Garcia, Jim, or Thomas Delare. I see Thomas Delare as real beatable if you're good, like a good boxer puncher, like a Lucas Matisse or Danny Garcia. He just looks real uncomfortable towards the end. But it was a good fight. I would have been probably happier with the draw because I thought it was that close. I guess the knockdown really sewed it up for Delare.
Mm-hmm. It made a difference. I mean, did you catch that fight, AK? Is that the way you seen it or what? Who you thought won that fight?
Yeah, I mean, I could see it as a draw, but, the knockdown, I think, is what did it for him. But at the same time, I was really disappointed with Delare. At first, like you said, he's really dominant when, the early rounds. Then later in the fight, he just, loses. I think he ran out of gas quick. Even when he jabs, he exposed his chin. He lifts his chin up in the air. and he don't have the best chin in the world, and he can't fight in the inside either. So, like Ego said, he's really beatable. And the guys at the highest, at 140, the best guys at 140 should win easy against him. A guy like Matisse or Danny Garcia. Not early, but fight go on, they could knock him out. But yeah, I was really disappointed by Delorme, and I could see it as a draw, but I think it's the knockdown that what did it for him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what do you think, E-King? Do you think any of these fighters, you think they're like serious competitors with the other top-notch fighters at the 140-pound division, E-King?
Well, 100-pound division, it's super stacked, and you have guys like Hank Lundy, Delorme, who they're not gatekeepers. They're a step above, gatekeeper status, right?
Yeah.
So very stacked division. Guys like Kareem Mayfield as well. Very tough opposition to get through. 140-pound division. Guys like Terrence Crawford coming up. They got to go through a minefield to really, conquer that 140-pound division. It's not like Manny Pacquiao coming down. He's already got that star status, so it's not like that for a guy like Terrence Crawford. I'm getting off topic, but really in terms of the Lundy-Delorme fight, I think we saw the best and worst of both fighters in this one. Both of these guys have to learn how to really master their craft in a way where Lundy needs to know when to put on that pressure early, so he can bank, he can get that work in to the body, whatever, bank some early rounds and finish strong later on. And Delorme's got to be able to handle the pressure, take that pressure bust fights. He's got to be able to keep his pipes together. Because late in the fight, it looked like he could have been stopped.
Yeah.
So it was a solid fight, and I think both of these guys have a bright future.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Now, my man Norrin Raddicall just wanted to let you guys know he does write on the website whambamet.com, and you guys want to check out his articles, go ahead and check out that website. It's whambamet.com. Now, I want to ask you, Norrin. I mean, are these cats some real gangsters or what? Hank Lundy and Thomas Delorme. What's up, man?
Gangster? What is that? Hey, they in the ring. They're prize fighters. I'm gonna leave it at that. They're prize fighters, and listen.
No doubt.
And by the way, the website is whambam whambamint.com.
There you go.
My man Johnny Wham Bam Cunningham doing a lot of big things on the website. Go check it out. We got a lot of celebrity interviews, Ray J, Nelly, Soul Train Awards. We're doing things like that. And, of course, I'm keeping the boxing content current, fresh, and decaf free. So, yeah, these guys, hey, listen, it's like we getting, I'm accustomed now to a lot of the undercard fights, even looking forward to the undercard fights more so than the main event, and the undercard fights somewhat outshining the main event. So it was an entertaining fight. Yeah, these guys are pros. These guys are quality, solid fighters. And I thought Lundy, I actually had Lundy, even though it was a 50-50 toss-up fight. I had Hank Lundy going in. I like his personality. You know what I mean? I'm very fond of Philly fighters. And, I was giving him a slight edge, but Delorme, yeah, he's a bit of a front runner. You know what I mean? Like I said, he loses focus or he runs out of gas in the second half of the fight, and that's definitely going to cost him as he continues to move up in a stacked division, as was already said. But it was an entertaining fight, and Delorme went out there and he did enough to win. So yeah, these guys they're gangsters. They qualify as gangsters, in my definition.
Gangster, baby.
Word up.
Gangster. And I ain't forgot about you, King Yusef, but I'm going to go ahead and holler at you about this Lemieux versus Rosado fight, man. So, that was a good fight. People are already comparing Lemieux to somewhat of a GG. They're already starting to fall in love with his style. I mean, what did you think about his performance, King Yusef, and what do you think about him in general?
Well, for me, he made Canadians proud that night, man. Well, I think. He proved a lot in Marco Antonio Rubio. He's more consummate. He doesn't rush in. He's more he's an intelligent boxer puncher. And then, funny thing, Rosado said, like, as soon as he hit me, like, he broke my orbital bone.
Mm-hmm.
And down in, like, Montreal, like, people were, like, sparring him. They said, like, that boy hits hard. Like, his power is for real.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like, the casuals love it. And HBO, like, wants to put him against GG, like, next year and stuff. And the most interesting will be, can Golovkin take another middleweight's power? Like, I haven't seen him get, like, staggered until, like, Gil hit him with a counter right, and then Gil got, like, knocked out. But Lemieux, like, opened up, like, a lot of ways. Like, it was a breakout performance for him.
Yeah, it was a breakout performance. And like I said in the video I did, I want to see GG in there. And not saying Lemieux beats him hands down, but we want to see GG in there with someone with young blood, a young lion, you know, someone who we would think entertain.
Not showing for a fucking paycheck.
Absolutely.
Going there to fight.
Yeah, getting caught on the head talking about, you know, this some real Mexican fight or something like that. And as soon as you get blown on, you fall on the damn ground. You know, that's the BS right there. And, you know, so I would be insulted that they would even use a title like that for that Marco Antonio Rubio card. But yeah, though, Eagle, like I said, I thought Lemieux, he did pretty good. I was impressed with his power, like King Yusef was talking about. Rosado, I mean, you don't normally see Rosado like backing up and like, oh, what did I just get hit with? You know, you could tell he was real hurt. He didn't even look that uncomfortable in the GG fight. You know, I mean, he got caught with a lot of shots. He was bloodied up and everything, but he didn't look as uncomfortable. I mean, is that how you kind of see it, Eagle?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good, entertaining fight. David Lemieux, I actually predicted him to win. His power is definitely a real deal. I'm not a big fan of the fight being rushed. Like, as far as Triple G, everyone wants to see him, like, step up, and I agree with that. So I wouldn't be opposed to David Lemieux, but he just beat a guy who was really off of 3 or 4 consecutive losses in boxing, not BKB or anything like that. So I want to see David Lemieux versus Triple G, but I feel let's see him in there with somebody else to groom him for that. At the moment, I see Triple G being probably a little bit too much, but it's still a good fight. Curtis Stevens was able to use his power, and he did it sparingly. It was real economical, and he actually backed Triple G up, if people remember that particular fight. So a guy who's on the comeback trail like David Lemieux, who's not afraid to leave his hometown and leave Quebec, Canada, to fight close to where Gabe Rosado lives in Philly. He fought in the Barclays. So I think it's a good fight, and I don't think David Lemieux's scared. I don't want to see him rushed into the fight. I want to see him build up his confidence and then make a fight with him.
Absolutely. Now, Norrin, Lemieux, he said something after the fight, which I thought was pretty interesting. It pretty much corroborates with a lot of what I've been saying, and a lot of trainers and boxers that I've interviewed, they've kind of said something very similar to what he was saying. He basically said, what's up with the obsession with GG when it comes to you people? He was talking to the media, right? Now, the way I interpret that is the same way a lot of fighters and trainers have been talking, which is a lot of them feel the dude is a little, you know, overrated, and this just seems to be, you know, some type of, you know, hope of some sort that some of these boxing fans are looking towards. I mean, is he overrated? Is he underrated? And how do you see a Lemieux versus GG fight?
The question of Triple G's status as being overrated, overhyped, or is he receiving sufficient credit, whether or not, yet remains to be seen. Is as of yet, you know what I mean, yet to be determined. That's the question we all are waiting for, and that's, you know what I mean, why we want to see, you know, not even necessarily the moving up in weight, you know, to super middleweight. But the thing is he already said he's willing to move up to super middleweight to fight, you know, Chavez or to fight certain competition. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So that's, you know what I mean, where he kind of burned himself. So it's like, you know, if you're willing to move up, you know what I mean, and you know all this hype is behind you, you know, you might as well fight the best competition, you know, when you do take a step up. But it's just yet to be determined. As of now, he's doing what he's supposed to do. You know what I mean? He's getting guys out of there. obviously he's a guy that's exciting people because he is scoring a lot of knockouts. And, you know, knockouts excite, you know, certain certain portion of the fan demographic. We already know that. So, you know, he's an exciting guy. He has a lot of power. You know what I mean? So right now it's like enjoy the hype. But sooner or later, you know what I mean? He's going to have to step up and, you know, it's going to be, again, is it warranted or is it a hype machine? But, you know, he's consistent. You know, the guy's powerful. He's an exciting guy. So, you know, it is what it is. As far as him and Lemieux, how do I see it? Honestly, it's not a fight I would really, you know, again, I wouldn't jump out of my seat for. You know what I mean? To me, it's a little bit kind of like the same old thing. I mean, we know, you know, the guy he just knocked out, Rubio, you know, he has a nice win over Lemieux, you know, from a few years back. You know what I mean? So, again, that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, Golovkin will have the same success. It doesn't necessarily mean it, but it certainly is indicative of it. I want to see Golovkin step up in competition to guys with, you know, a little bit fresher name in the division. Again, the Peter Quillins, you know, and I know it's kind of like more on Peter Quillen's side, why that fight hasn't made. At least that's what we hear in the rumor mill.
At least that's the perception.
Exactly, that's the perception. And again, that's another article that I wrote, so you guys can find that again on Wham Bam Entertainment. We giving this guy enough plugs today?
Man, all day. All day. We better get some lunch or something.
Anyway, so any motherfucker way. Yeah, I just want to see him against fresh names. His you know, more guys who are, you know, his contemporaries that are also coming up, also establishing their names right now. And let's see what he got against, you know, or how he performs against those guys in the ring. And then, you know, like I said, the next level is there for him. You know what I mean? 168. And, you know, we'll see. The proof will be in the pudding. You know what I mean? I'm not discounting him. I'm not going to say that it's all hype. You know what I mean? It's, like I said, it is as of yet to be determined. You know what I mean?
No doubt. Now, E. King, since I'm going to address you next, I'll put it this way. For the record, you know, like I said, I've had Ggg and surprised a lot of people. I put him in my top 10 pound for pound about a year ago, and I was riding for Ggg when Sergio Martinez was ducking him. I made a lot of videos. They're still up. You can check them out. I was saying, look, man, Ggg is doing every single thing that Sergio Martinez people are demanding him to do. Like they said, oh, why don't you fight a young gun like Curtis Stevens? He did that. Why don't you fight an opponent we already faced? He did that with Macklin, right? And I said, now Sergio Martinez, you have no excuse, right? And when I seen Sergio didn't want to fight him, I said that Ggg is the best fighter at middleweight, and that's why I have him in my top 10 pound for pound list. But at the same time, it seemed like Ggg all of a sudden hit a wall where, you know, once he reached that level, now we're not really seeing progression, you know. So, I mean, what do you, E. King, what do you think about him fighting against Lemieux? I think that would be, you know, a good step in the right direction. What do you think about it, E. King?
It is. I think the whole like, because in hindsight, I think HBO wanted to do that from jump, right? They put Rosado in front of him, and on paper Lemieux was supposed to win. He got the job done, and this is a setup fight. Golovkin needs some fresh meat. Lemieux is there. He seems to want to fight anybody, and to me, this is just a fight I think HBO they like it. This has, quote unquote, you know, the styles make a very entertaining, exciting fight, and you know, Lemieux's undefeated.
Yeah,
he's got a very high knockout ratio. Golovkin has a very high knockout ratio.
Oh, well, he got one loss. You talking about Lemieux?
Yeah, both of them undefeated, high knockout ratios.
No,
that has good fight written all over it.
No, Lemieux,
right?
he did lose, though. Lemieux, he lost to Marco Antonio Rubio, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, sorry, yeah. He lost to Rubio, and he lost to Alcine, Joachim Alcine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Lemieux is on a good fight win streak.
Yeah.
You know, got his confidence back with him. This is a solid victory. And yeah, I'm not sure where he's in the rankings, but this is a solid fight. Let's not sleep on Martin Murray. I would say that as well. I think that's an interesting fight. Glove got Martin Murray in Monaco.
Let's sleep on him.
Yeah. I was going to respond to that, but go ahead. Go ahead, King.
Yeah, so, I'm not going to say that. Like, Golovkin's a favorite in that fight for sure, but you never know. This is boxing.
No, you won't.
This is true.
I just don't like the you never know type fights. You know what I'm saying? I want to have a little bit more, of a contrast or a competitive, type of fight. But no, you're right. You're right. It is true. You never know. There's
a bunch of drool on my pillow.
Arguably, he beat Sergio Martinez. Argentina.
I believe he beat. That's a good point.
No, absolutely.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. And matter of fact, you're absolutely right, King. Now, the more I think about it, it's almost a 50-50 fight. And I don't know if that's saying a whole lot good about Ggg. Exactly. I still lean towards Ggg.
Listen, here's another a problem I have with Ggg. What was his issue with Lara? When he turned down the Lara fight, that Lara wasn't known. That was their thing, right? That was the platform.
They had a lot of excuses. It wasn't just one. Okay. It wasn't just one.
That was the one I recall. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe something else would have seemed a little bit more legitimate to me. But the fact that he's not known, but Martin Murray is, again, he's a guy who had a good showing against Sergio Martinez. But come on, you're gonna say that Erislandy Lara is not as well known as Matthew Macklin and Martin Murray and these guys. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, why that, to me, that's a fight. Even though you got a guy that's coming up, from a weight class, coming up to meet him, it's still, to me, is a step up in competition. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. That's the type of thing that I'm not seeing from him. That like I said, just leaves me, I'm not blown away. I know the guy's talented, but
there are no coincidences, man. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing. You have Lara, you have Ward, you have these type of fighters that coincidentally, Ggg does not want to fight
that type of style.
And it's because also skill recognized skill. And the one thing I will say about Ggg or Ggg, is he knows. He knows the type of styles is going to give him problems because he has an amateur pedigree. He understands the sweet science.
Absolutely.
That's why when he says stuff like, I like to fight Rubio because that's a real fight, what he's basically telling you behind the lines is this guy is going to be very easy for me. He's not going to give me any problems, and he's going to allow me to go out there and put on an excellent, easy performance. That's pretty much what he means, right? So go ahead. Who was that about to say something? Was that you, E-King or AK? Well,
yeah. I just wanted to chime in, and on that point, I have to agree. I think Golovkin has a knack for fighting a certain type of style, and he performs well against a guy that's going to be right in front of him. Manny Pacquiao's the same way.
Most fighters do well against that style, actually, I believe. Yeah.
Exactly. And oddly enough, Manny Pacquiao and Golovkin they fight, Manny Pacquiao, he has a lot more movement to his game, where Golovkin's a little more flat-footed, but he cuts off the ring a lot better, right? So against a guy that knows how to use his foot movement correctly, and that can get his feet outside of Golovkin's, out of his range, a guy like Erislandy Lara is all wrong for Golovkin. I think he knows it.
Yeah, all wrong.
That is the reason why that fight never materialized.
And that's like, and my whole thing is like I said before, why don't we just be a little honest? Instead of bashing the guy that will give you problems, why don't you compliment his style? Why don't you say, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and hold off on that. The guy, he has a style that would be very difficult. I mean, honesty, there's nothing wrong with being honest. Instead of saying, fuck him, he's a bitch, all he does is run. And
nobody knows him, and nobody's ever heard of him.
Yeah. I mean, instead of going that route. But before we run out of time, and I got to say, I do apologize because I showed up at the studio late today, so we're going to have a short show today. But it is what it is, you know. Every now and then I got to show y'all what type of celebrity I am, you know what I mean? 'Cause I don't want y'all thinking I'm some type of small timer that just show up on time, you know what I mean? So shit, this you know, celebrity status over here, baby.
Hey, no comment. No.
Dante, let's get into predictions, Dante.
Yeah, this week in boxing, man, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, that's what I was about. Go ahead.
Hey, listen, it's crazy. I'm actually. This is gonna sound crazy. I'm actually. This is unprecedented. I'm actually looking forward to who's gonna be in the corners almost as much as the fights. Like, it's crazy. Like Virgil Hunter versus Kevin Cunningham. Like, to me, that's you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm totally intrigued by that. You know what I mean? By the cerebral chess game going on, or the pugilistic chess game, whatever. Our friend Joel Diaz working two corners, two separate events. Yeah. So he's working two venues, two different events, two different promotional companies, two different networks.
He grinding,
man. You know what I mean? So. I'm just, you know, getting caught up on some other aspects of it. You know what I mean? It just excites me. I don't know.
Well, you might as well go into Chavez.
Chavez
Bradley.
And Bradley. Of course, I'm going with Bradley. I mean, the guy's proven himself that he's an elite fighter. It's going to be tough. I mean, Bradley generally doesn't make fights easy on himself. You know what I mean? He doesn't, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be probably a grueling event. I mean, he did make the Marquez fight pretty easy. He went out there and boxed and fought intelligently. So, yeah, you just got to go with Bradley, with the elite guy on that one. The flip side, on the other side of town, of course, Khan and Alexander. Again, the ultimate 50-50 fight. A fight, like I said, that's what I'm saying. I'm so looking forward to the fight. Like I said, I'm even looking forward to, like, the corners, like, you know what I mean? But I'm slightly, maybe a fraction, a decimal of a fraction, I'm leaning towards Devin, just so ever so slightly. But, you know, that's not even really calculable. You know what I mean? It's a totally 50-50 fight. You know, Khan could go out there and really, you know, display not only his boxing skill, but also his determination, you know, which gets a little bit underestimated. Khan is very, very determined. You know, he has a lot of heart, and sometimes he's shown more heart in the past than sometimes what Devin has been, you know, able to show sometimes. So maybe that will, you know what I mean, be the determining factor. Then again, like I said, maybe, you know, Devin will come in and...
We got like 3 minutes left, y'all.
Maybe Devin will come in and put in, you know, another boxing performance of his life, you know, take it back to, you know, Urango or something like that and give us one of those type of performances. So, you know, that's what I'm just saying, is just totally looking forward to this week's main events.
No doubt.
Cross town.
No doubt. And just real quick, I just want to throw it out and say, yeah, I see Bradley dominating Chavez. I see him coming out and really putting on a very impressive performance. You know, seeing a little mixture of the boxing like he did in the Marquez fight and a little bit of the banging like he did in the Luis Abrego fight and all his fights. You know, he's a well-round fighter.
Absolutely.
And I think it's going to be an impressive performance. But since we ain't talked to AK in a minute, or Yusef, let's start with AK. A quick prediction on Chavez versus Bradley, because I know we already got your thoughts last week.
I just want to throw it out there right quick. You know, I Golovkin-Lemieux is going to give Lemieux all the problems in the world. But, you know, as far as answering your question, you know, I see Bradley winning that fight, but I don't think it's going to be an easy fight. I see Chavez giving him a hard time, especially if Bradley goes in there to bang. You better go in there and box this Chavez. If he goes in there to box Chavez, I think he's going to have an easy night. And if he goes in there bang, you know, I think Chavez is going to give him a lot of problems. And, you know, I'm picking Lara and Khan, you know, and Keith Thurman to win their fight.
Okay. And real quick, King Yusef, your predictions, Bradley-Chavez.
I'm going with Desert Storm Bradley. We'll see. He'll box, not like brawl like what happened with Raddicall. And the rumor is, like, if Bradley wins, he might fight Kell Brooks next year.
Yeah.
The F title. Top Rank are in talks with her to get that matchup into the state. So it doesn't with the Storm to win.
Yep. And Ego, your prediction real quick?
I think the fight's going to be as hard as Bradley makes it.
Exactly.
It's up to him.
Like he did with the Rosen fight. That was after the Pacquiao controversy. I think he's over that. He's going to come in shape. Diego Chavez is an unorthodox puncher. But I think boxing-wise, Bradley is more athletically superior, better coordination, footwork. So I'm rocking with Bradley for the decision.
Okay, and I don't even remember. Did I get your prediction, E-King, on this?
Man, you know I got Bradley. I got Tim Bradley win this fight. Unanimous decision, or he might just stop him, if on cut perhaps.
And real quick, because you wasn't here with us last week, I'm not to cut you off, but go ahead.
I think done.
You're breaking up. Khan Alexander, did you get a prediction on that, E-King? Devin wins the fight. Gotcha.
Unanimous decision.
There we go. There we go. We're going to be talking a lot about this, guys. Next week, we'll be covering all the fights, and we'll be talking about it. So we are out of time, guys. Once again, I want to say thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. We will see you guys next week. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. on Tuesday. Shouts out to my correspondents, a.k.a. Rap King, Eagles World, and my man Norrin Raddicall, King Yusef. And I'm forgetting somebody. Eagles World. Did I say that already? I already said that. So anyway, we're running out of time, guys. Thanks again. My man Norrin Raddicall, take us out.
Oh, yeah, and I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger. And you will know that my name is the Lord when I put my vengeance upon thee.
All day, baby.